Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Ball Hogs PH. My name is Aaron Atayde, coming to you from inside the Digital 5 Studios, of course, with the returning Jinno Rufino.
Well, I was here in the past couple of
Yeah, no, you weren't. And, of course, back in Las Vegas, you have Mo Twister joining us as well. Good evening, morning, wherever you are. Thank you for joining us. And we start out with your starting five, triple threat, whichever you want to call it. We got 5 topics for you guys this time around, and we start out with Mr. Mo Twister.
Yeah, you know, the big monster game from Kawhi the other night against the Rockets. Of course, hit the big three-pointer to put them ahead. Big block towards the end. And everywhere you go now, all of a sudden, Kawhi is mainstream MVP candidate. We did bring up his name a couple episodes ago. I was saying I thought he deserved to be there because he carries the same amount of weight in terms of singular superstar as much as, say, a Harden and Westbrook. We even threw Isaiah Thomas's name in the MVP conversation. But I think at this point, and I don't recall a season or recently a season where the MVP talk has been the whole season. It feels like every conversation you have per week, whether it be on this show, other shows, or with your friends, we talk MVP because the candidates are so strong. Some of them are so different with different scenarios that I thought maybe what we can do here in this first topic is break down the big four, which I think at this point is the lock four, right? Mm-hmm. Because we're getting so close to the end of the season. Westbrook, Harden, Kawhi, LeBron. That's it. Yep. I think at this point we can't include anyone else into this one, and this is the way it's going to be till the end of the season. So what has to happen with each of these players and their competition for them to win the MVP award? So let's go player by player. Let's talk about what has to happen for them and what has to happen for the other three for the guy in question to win the MVP.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
Yeah,
okay.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right, so let's get to it because I think it's an interesting
conversation. This might take a long time, but yeah.
Yeah, it might take a long time, but you know what?
Worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the MVP conversation has been a good one all season long.
Yes. Let's
start with who I think is still going to win it, Russell Westbrook. And now, according to ESPN on their website today, he has a 62% chance of averaging a triple-double for this NBA season. He's at 10.0 right now as of tonight's game. They haven't gone final yet, so we don't know what the end total there is, though he's having a monster scoring game. I think the triple-double gets it for him. It doesn't matter what happens to anyone else. He gets the triple-double, he's set. Now, he's down to 10.0. The moment he goes 9.9, he loses it.
Definitely.
Unless they finish in the 5th seed. Like, that's the only way I can see Westbrook still winning the MVP if he goes below the 10 assist marker at 9.9 or even go below the 10 rebound number at 9 point whatever. They have to finish in the 5th seed for him to have a chance. But if it's a triple-double, boom, it's his.
No matter where, even if the Thunder are still in the 7th.
They can go 8th.
Currently.
Yeah, they can go 8th, which is not going to happen because obviously they've had such a large lead. But I mean, the triple-double is so rare. It's so historic. It's one of those records that I think a lot of people thought would never be broken just because of the style of game, the minutes the guys play, all of that stuff. His size, I think the triple-double gets it. It doesn't matter what else anyone else does.
Well, Oscar Robertson, he was the last guy to do it. And when he did it many years ago.
50-plus.
He didn't win the MVP award.
Yeah, he didn't. Neither did Will Chamberlain, who averaged 50
Bill
points
Russell
and 23. Yeah, Russell won it, right.
Yeah.
Different time, though.
Different time, different era, so it's hard to compare. But, I still think that he should, if he finishes with a triple-double and he's somewhere, and the Thunder are 7-6-5. But I don't see it as a lock. Right. I mean, I still feel like James Harden has a chance now. Kawhi Leonard has a chance. I don't think LeBron, even though he's still the best player in the world, I don't think LeBron will win it. But I think people are going to look at that number 7. The voters who are going to be voting for the MVP are going to look at that number 7 seed and say, wait, the Rockets are number 3. The Spurs could be number 1. They're number 2 right now, but they could be number 1.
I think those voters are going to look at number 3 and not give it to Harden because you can look at number 2 as of today and see Kawhi there and him be the more deserving guy over Harden. Like, in fact, my hierarchy right now is Westbrook, Kawhi, Harden. Partially biased because I don't like Harden's game. It's too one-sided. There's no defense there, and I think that obviously is a big part in my opinion. I think the only way Westbrook might not win the MVP if he averages a triple-double is if the Spurs finish number 1 in the West. And then I kind of have to now give it. I think there are going to be voters who are going to go, okay, now we have to give it to Kawhi.
Yeah, I think this is the first time in a long time where it's not up to the player's performance and his team's performance anymore. There's a lot of variables for each and every one of these guys.
That's not necessarily true. The only reason Westbrook is in this conversation is because of his individual play. Screw what the team's doing. You get what I mean? You're saying it's not more about the team. It's not. It's in fact about Westbrook.
No, so you're saying if Kawhi gets number 1 in the West, even with
if the Spurs get number 1 in the West, there is, I believe, a group of guys who will vote for Kawhi over Westbrook, even if Westbrook gets a triple-double. I wouldn't do it, but I feel that voters would.
Because, I mean, LaMarcus Aldridge has not been the second half of LaMarcus Aldridge that we saw last year. So this is all Kawhi.
It's all been
This is Kawhi putting everything on his shoulders.
The Rockets might even have a better team on paper than the Spurs do, but they don't have a better system, and they don't have Kawhi.
And they don't have Pop.
So what would Kawhi need to do? I mean, like, for me, I think Kawhi needs to finish on top. He needs Russ not to get a triple-double.
The Spurs need the first seed.
The Spurs get number 1, Russ not get a trip-dub, and Harden stays in third place. If he gets that, then I think that if all those 3 variables...
Dude, this is not tennis, man. They play for teams. The Rockets, you mean, stay in third.
If
Harden stays in third.
There's really nobody else.
It's a team game.
If Russ doesn't get a trip-dub, and Harden and the rest of the Rockets stay in third place, and Kawhi, because of the Durant injury, goes all the way up into first place, Kawhi Leonard should be the MVP of the league.
Well, I mean,
let's focus on Kawhi then. Jinno, let's move from Westbrook. Let's go to Kawhi. How does Kawhi win the MVP?
But the one thing that Kawhi, I think, will have some sort, aside from the Spurs. Well, I mean, obviously, we have to point out that with Kevin Durant out, and if the Warriors fall to second, that's going to change so many things, right? But one thing about Kawhi Leonard right now is because he's the hot topic, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Mo, you said in the beginning, and because he is sort of peaking at the right time, not just his basketball play, because he's been doing it all season long, but his I guess the attention that's being given to him is peaking at the right time. That's gonna play a factor with the voters, because we're in the fourth quarter of the NBA season. We got 20-something games left or less for some teams. I mean that's gonna be a big factor when it comes to people voting for the MVP. But I mean I want Russell to get it. He's my favorite among everybody possible, getting being MVP this season. And I want to agree with you, Mo. I want to agree with you that even if the Thunder are 7th seed in the West and Russ finishes with a triple-double, I want to say that he's going to get the MVP, but something tells me inside that he needs to move up to the 5th spot, or maybe at least at the very least the 6th.
That's the only way. Again, I see Kawhi winning it is if the Spurs have to finish first. They just have to do it.
No,
that's the only way he gets it.
I have to agree. But it's very possible that they could.
Yeah, no, of course, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's why Kawhi is in this MVP conversation, because they're knocking on the door. Another thing that Kawhi is knocking on the door of, which is something that I covet so much, and I've said it here on the show very, very often, is the 50-40-90.
Yes.
He's knocking on the door there. He's at, 49, 39, 90. So, I mean, he's right there at that elite kind of achievement for a player in one season. So you get that. Plus, you get the fact that he's the best defensive player, 2-time back-to-back defensive player of the year. Might get it again here this year. Who knows? Then you put in the other efficiency numbers, like low turnover rate, which the other guys can't say that they do, low foul rate, just every aspect of his game has improved so much year after year, and he was a contender in past years already. I think this is the time he wins it, only if the Spurs finish first. Now, say Westbrook gets the triple-double. Can Kawhi still win it? Possibly, but the Thunder have to finish 7th. I think those are the variables that get Kawhi the award. So I have him in 2nd place. How does James Harden win the MVP award?
James Harden needs a miracle. James Harden needs
miracle.
I wouldn't say miracle.
That's a strong word.
He needs Russ not to get a triple-double. Yeah.
he needs to get up into second place.
That's not going to happen.
Which is not
No.
going to happen.
Yeah.
And he needs Cleveland to just coast for the remainder of the season.
That's
So technically, all of that kind of equals a miracle at this point.
well, no.
No, that's if you think that they have to go to the second seed. I don't think.
Yeah,
the
I don't think.
Rockets
I don't
need
think
to
they
be
have to go to
the second
the
seed
second.
for Harden. They're not going to get it.
So they
agree.
need San Antonio out of the first.
Yeah, he needs
Well,
San Antonio out of the
yeah.
first, and he needs Russ
Stay in third.
not to get a
triple-double.
triple-double. And I
Right,
think
so-
Harden gets it.
Right. So Westbrook not getting a triple-double, I think skyrockets Harden's chances.
Yes.
The Spurs not getting to number one, absolutely now puts probably him as a front runner. And then the Rockets have to win 60 games. I think that's just kind of the last thing in my book that solidifies Harden winning. If the Rockets can win 60,
I don't
dude,
see.
it's his.
I don't see 60 games. I say somewhere in the mid-50s, and I think that's going to be enough.
I say 57
But
is
I
where
mean,
they're going to land.
regardless of what happens, though, I mean, this is going to be the most tightly contested MVP race I think we've ever seen. I don't think with multiple. Sometimes we see two guys, gunning for it, but now there's a legit four, and we haven't even really talked about LeBron.
Well, it could have been 5, and if
KD.
didn't
Thomas?
go down.
KD? Okay.
No.
I mean, and an interesting thing here before we go to LeBron is if Golden State doesn't hit a hiccup, does that really show that Kevin Durant shouldn't have been in the conversation in the first place? Because everybody was saying that he was third, fourth in the running.
You have to recognize their dominant season. Like you can't just get spoiled because they're the Warriors. No, they had to put those wins up on the board. Somebody had to put that stuff together, and you just don't. You just don't throw them in there as they're the number one seed. They had to earn it, and in the process of earning it, some of their players are going to excel. And Kevin Durant was their best player this season. I think you still. No, I mean, he's absolutely valuable. He's just not going to win it because of the injury. And, the narrative, again, or the story of the other four are a little bit better than KD's. Now, again, one last thing about Harden, and we'll go to LeBron. I think maybe some of the voters might take it against Harden that he's such an awful defensive player.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And that Mike D'Antoni's system inflates James Harden's numbers, and that his supporting cast is better than Westbrook's, might be better than Kawhi's. And, you might see Harden get a couple of hits there on votes because D'Antoni's system is what inflated these numbers. And then, again, he does not play defense. And that's where Kawhi really kind of takes it from him.
The fact that Steve Nash won back-to-back MVPs, for me, under D'Antoni's system, just proves that it's not just the player, right? It's not just the I know it's an individual award, but it's the way he fits within the team's system, which is Kawhi, which is James Harden, more than Russell Westbrook. That really gives them an edge when people vote for the MVP, and they see that because it's a team game, and when one individual fits so well within a system such as Harden and Kawhi, those guys usually, like even Steph in the past 2 seasons, those guys usually get some sort of edge over a super dominant individual performance like a LeBron James.
Right. And that's why, though, I get Kawhi the edge over Harden.
Yes.
Because, yes, the system caters to their abilities and it maybe inflates their numbers. Certainly more Harden than I think Kawhi, because Kawhi, we've seen the improvement every year. First year he started off averaging 7 points. I think he's at 26 now, and it has got better and better and better. Plus, he's got the defensive hardware, the awards, and this year, again, he still is a dominant defensive player, which gives him the edge over James Harden. Now, what Kawhi is a controlled superstar. He's not reckless like Harden and Westbrook can be, even to a certain extent. LeBron. Kawhi's like Kobe. Elite mid-range game, does not falter, does not get too excited, and is an elite defender, very much like Kobe was in his early years. That's why I think Kawhi might be the second favorite to win this award, and to me the first if Westbrook doesn't get the triple-double. Now, Kawhi doesn't give the sexy games, right? He's only had like one 40-point game. What has Westbrook had? He had like 5 in the last 5 games or something like that, right? Kawhi's only had one 40-point game. So he doesn't pop it out of the score sheets and stuff like that like a James Harden would or a Westbrook would, but his responsibility for his team and carrying a squad is just as important as those two guys, and he does it efficiently. Again, knocking on the door on 50, 40, 90. Team is knocking on the door of the number 1 seed in a strong Western Conference, overtaking the by far favorite, Golden State Warriors to start the season. man, I just don't see how you can give the award to anyone else but Kawhi if Westbrook doesn't get the triple-double.
Well, I mean,
To me, all signs point Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, but
now, I know, Gino. Sorry. Last thing.
It's great.
Gino said, okay, he's the timely pick right now. Yeah, he is. But the stats, the record, the performances, the eye test, the sheets, all still point to Kawhi, even though he's flavor of the week.
Plus the fact that he blocked James Harden to complete the highlights.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Well, I mean, if
Dude,
you're
they got
gonna,
an 8-game winning streak. They have an freaking game winning streak.
if you're gonna talk about a guy that fits the mold of the team, that has been putting up phenomenal numbers, that are not jumping out though, that are not 40 points here and 40 points there. How is LeBron not in conversation?
He's in the conversation.
No, how is he not
takes
front
games
runner?
off, man. LeBron takes games off.
Well.
Dude, I'm gonna knock him for taking games off.
Well,
takes games off. He takes a game off against Miami in Miami. I mean, like, he's just a diva, and I don't want to. Best player in the world. I don't want to award a diva with the MVP award. Now, there is a way LeBron wins it.
How?
Westbrook doesn't get a triple-double. Rockets struggle to win 50 games or right around that area. Spurs finish second in the West. LeBron has more help, too. He's got a lot of help. They're freaking deep over there. And I think that's why no Warrior players are in serious contention either. For that same reason. The team is too good. LeBron's team is too good. And that's where he's going to struggle with votes. But I think, again, if Westbrook doesn't get the triple-double, the Rockets kind of screw up in the next week or 2 or 3 weeks, and then the Spurs don't take over the Warriors, then fine. I think LeBron's got a serious shot at it.
LeBron is averaging, 26, 9, and 8. He's the highest points that he's averaged in 4 years, the highest assists he's ever had in his career. He's averaging the most number of rebounds. He's only played, 57 games this season.
Well, plus the fact that, his offensive numbers look, they're a little bit of an improvement, but he's been so steady the past, 6, 7, 8 years that he's, I just think the voters are not going to vote for him because he's been voted for so many times.
The only way that LeBron will win this MVP is if people put respect on his name. That's it. He needs the miracle.
You can't say a statement like that. That's crazy talk, man.
No, I mean,
the number one team in the East, he is. I'm sorry if you're using the term and knocking on the door, but of a triple-double average as well. He's probably not going to get it because he's got to have to do a lot. I don't think it's a name recognition thing that gets LeBron the MVP. The stats are there for him to do it, right? The standings are there. A lot of things are going right for LeBron. The only thing that's going against him is that the other 3 guys are having such otherworldly seasons.
But I mean,
that's the thing. It's not a name recognition thing.
LeBron has been doing this forever, and I mean, he's how many MVPs does he have? 2? I mean,
he's not been doing it forever. You just said right now he's having career highs.
No, I mean, like he's the best player in the world,
and he's been relatively consistent compared to the rest.
Exactly,
to the other 3.
But
the MVP is a this season award, not a what have you done throughout the whole entire
But
career
because of his consistency throughout the past several years, people are not going to vote for him.
It's the same way that you were talking about Steph Curry last week. That, I mean, we just got so used to those unworldly numbers that this year he's having great numbers.
What I said about Steph was that the other guys, and I'm going to say that again here about LeBron, the other guys have better stories and they've got better stats. It doesn't mean that Steph has declined. It means the other guys have a great angle to their season that will get them the award. Steph's numbers, yes, have declined a little bit, which are expected because, of course, Kevin Durant's there. But it doesn't mean he sucks now or he's in some kind of trouble. He's no longer going to be a very great player. No, he's still a great player. It's just Westbrook's averaging a goddamn triple-double. I haven't seen it in 54 years. Harden is the second best points and assists, of points scored and assisted on. He's got the second highest of all time. Kawhi is taking a team that's supposed to be finishing second, and he might go ahead and finish first. Plus, he's elite defender. There are a lot of angles to the other guys that make LeBron's chances a little, make him suffer a little bit. But stats-wise and standings-wise, LeBron's numbers are MVP.
Yeah, I agree. And again, I will go back to it. Have we taken LeBron for granted to some extent? I mean,
yes, we have.
The numbers,
yes, we have.
That the numbers are there, every week in, week out, year in, year out, 4-time MVP. But are we just is this voter fatigue already?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Not this season.
I say yes.
Not this season.
How
do you say that, though?
I just think the fact that he's been so good, so dominant, he's been among the best players in the world for such a long time now. The fact that he's won several MVPs, people are not going to vote for him. That's it. That's just he's good. He might win. He might win GM of the year He might win GM of the year.
Now you're making the accomplishments this season of Harden, Westbrook, and Kawhi less important, and that's crazy talk for me. You can't say, oh, LeBron's he's just not going to get votes because he's LeBron and we're voter fatigue. No, his achievements this year are fantastic.
If you look at his,
if he wasn't, guys are historic.
Yeah, that I will agree with.
If he wasn't doing this for the past several years, then yes, he should be the MVP. And let's admit, he is the best player in the NBA. But the fact that he's just that's it for me. That's the reason why Shaq has one MVP.
Yeah,
that's the reason why Kobe has one MVP. That's the reason why you know what I mean. They're not.
Like I said, it's a season-to-season award.
I get that. I get that, but it's not. But
and how can LeBron's season be better than Westbrook's? How can LeBron's season be better than Harden's?
He needs everyone else's narrative to suck.
He's got superstars on his team. These other
Which is
guys
why he
don't.
should win best GM of the year. That's why.
Speaking of awards, let's move on to our next one. This has become what was supposed to be a runaway.
Mo got this one right.
Award.
Mo got this one.
I will try and vouch for a different name.
Mo got this one right. Go ahead.
Should Joel Embiid, who was supposed to be the the Rookie of the Year, easily, all of a sudden go down and with his, I believe it was a knee.
Season-ending injury.
Yeah, season-ending injury.
They're arresting him. Come on.
30 games. He's played 30 games. Does he and should he still win the Rookie of the Year? And if not, who should it be?
Alex.
Two-man race.
It's
my guy, Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah, and my guy. I will go with Dario Saric.
Oh, I like Saric.
Yeah,
I
think it's two-man race between Saric and Brogdon.
But man, what a crappy Rookie of the Year.
This is Michael Carter Williams bad.
This is awful. I'm sorry. This is really bad. It doesn't matter for me. This award doesn't matter anymore.
No, it never did. I mean, who cares? It's the Rookie of the Year award.
Yeah.
I don't think it mattered anyway.
Oh, it did when it was Magic and Bird going for the Rookie of the Year.
Dude, that's 20 plus years ago. That was 30 years ago. I don't know how long ago was that. The three-point line was just introduced that year, man. Who cares about the Rookie of the Year award? It doesn't guarantee long-term success like the MVP award does, right? Yes. Sure, we have Anthony Towns, we have Wiggins who won the year prior. They're stars, I guess. I mean, Wiggins, sure. But remember, again, you brought it up. Michael Carter Williams won this award. Where the hell is he now? Prior to that, Damian Lillard won it. Kyrie won it. Blake Griffin won it. But remember, Tyreek Evans won it. And Okafor won it. It doesn't mean that it's not the MVP race wherein there are no weak links. Steph, KD, LeBron, Kobe, Dirk, Nash, Garnett, Duncan, Iverson, Shaq, Malone, Jordan. Those are the guys who won it last. Well, I mean, this is Derrick Rose. Those are the guys who have won it recently.
Yeah, because it also really matters between with the draft class.
No, you know what it matters in? It matters in signing that extension.
Yeah, no, but I mean, as a fan, who cares about the money stuff? As a fan, should we still
the draft class.
care about the? It's not though, because Embiid is a 3-year NBA player. Saric is not. Was not. It doesn't matter. He was not drafted in that draft class. So you can't say that, it matters the draft class. Embiid was drafted freaking 3 years ago. Saric was not drafted this season. Who was the best rookie drafted this season? His name is Malcolm Brogdon, and that's not because, someone's a Bucks fan. That's on paper. Malcolm Brogdon was the best rookie this season drafted. Now, yes, Embiid qualified, if he didn't get hurt, but qualified for the Rookie of the Year. I don't know if he still does. I'm sorry. And Saric qualifies for it. But, I mean, come on, dude. The guy's been there 3 years.
And he played 30 games.
3 years.
But he never played a game.
It doesn't matter, man. That's his fault. It's not our fault that we now have to give it to somebody else because he didn't play a game. I don't like the rule. Though it's a rule. I get it. I could be wrong. Of course, that Saric could win it. Embiid could win it. But come on, man. They're not rookies. Just because they didn't play doesn't make them, rookies.
So
they were drafted, man. They're grown men at this point.
We are here though, and we have to give the award.
Yeah,
For instance,
you're
right.
You're right.
We are the governing body of the Rookie of the Year of the world.
I I won't vote. I'm not voting.
Forget this shit.
I know, I'm not voting for anyone.
Malcolm Brogdon. That's it, man.
Dario Saric. I mean, the guy is averaging more points than Malcolm Brogdon. He's averaging more rebounds. Granted, Brogdon is averaging more assists and has a better record. But Dario Saric has been playing phenomenal basketball of late. He's the one that filled in that kind of void that Joel Embiid left, that Nerlens Noel left. And I really like Dario Saric. This guy is someone that you could actually, for at least next year, use as trade bait.
He might. I mean, I think he's got just a chance as much as Brogdon.
You really, but it stops there.
I like Brogdon. I think being drafted this season is a plus for me. I like that he's a 5-year college player. That's kind of rare. That would be nice.
Okay, that's
a good.
You know,
that's a good
bringing that up.
storyline.
I mean, that for me is definitely a bonus. But it really ends with those two though.
I would.
Oh yeah.
It really ends
I mean, if we needed to throw in a third,
you can't. That's such a stretch.
I know.
There's no way.
No, just for conversation and the fact that I've absolutely loved his name, Willie Hernan Gomez. Man, I love that dude. That dude has saved me many a night in fantasy basketball. Thank you to Willie Hernan Gomez.
He's had some moments.
Yes, he has.
He's had some nice.
Okay, so we talked about the MVP. We talked about the Rookie of the Year. Let's talk about some teams. I believe it's time to talk about the Heat.
Yes, I mean, we never really talked about the Heat so far this season, but I mean, it's perfect timing because the league is going to be having its first ever Filipino Heritage Week. Teams have done it before. There's been Filipino Heritage Nights for individual teams. Strangely enough, the Pistons did it when Jordan Clarkson and the Lakers were playing in Motown. Obviously, we all know the Warriors has done it. I think twice now.
Yep.
I think more than that. I think
they've done it several times. But there's so many Pinoys in the Bay Area, so it makes sense. But the league has taken notice of the Filipino NBA fans, and they want to extend it through more than just individual teams doing it. So the league is going to be featuring 3 separate games from Manila time, March 16, 18, and 19. And those 3 games are on the 19th. It's going to be the Bucks playing in Golden State, and I believe Aaron, you said that Edu Manzano is going to be singing the national anthem for that game. But the 2 games prior to that's going to be featured for Filipino Heritage Week will be the Heat. Will be 2 Heat games. I think the Heat and the Wolves on the 18th.
What?
And the Heat and I can't remember who they're playing on the 16th.
Okay.
But it's basically 2 Heat games. So it's I guess it's a nice time to talk about a team that we never talked about so far this season. A team that in 2017 has been, they've been one of the hottest teams in the NBA, believe it or not. And Coach Spo actually has won a Coach of the Month honors.
Oh wait, you're talking about March 19?
16. Manila time, 16.
That's New Orleans and Minnesota.
So Boogie and Brow head over to South Beach. So anyway, the Heat right now, they are currently at 9th, right outside the 8th, the playoff picture, behind the Pistons and the Bulls. And the Heat 30 and 34. I just want to give some love to this team that nobody looked at, especially how slowly they started the season.
For complete transparency, the Heat have been a fringe topic on this on the show. Yeah. We have had them lined up for conversation for like the past 4 or 5 weeks.
Well, let's do it. Yeah, let's talk about them.
Let's talk about them.
Let's go. We got a big intro for the Heat, but let's get to the thing.
Yes.
Like you said, one of the hotter teams. In fact, not one of the hottest teams.
Yeah.
What is it? 19-3 since mid-January. At the midway point, they were 11-31. So, dude, 19-3, I think, is what their record is recently. So, the best team in the NBA since the midway point of the season.
How are
right?
they doing this?
They beat the Cavs twice.
Yeah.
Well,
LeBron was sitting down.
Yeah, but that's what I love about it. It's like, okay, he's going to sit down to the game that, back in Miami, little FU to Pat Riley, comes back thinking, okay, we're going to smoke these guys now that we're back, and then they get spanked. I love it.
Yeah, Dion Waiters happened.
I love
But
D-Wade.
can they actually make the playoffs? I mean, they're right there.
Okay.
They're right
Sure.
there. And Can you imagine if they make the playoffs and they play the Cleveland Cavaliers in the first round?
Well, let's talk about that later. We got another topic.
I'm getting too
regarding
excited
first-round
about
matchups.
that.
Let's talk about the Heat. The Heat. How have they been doing this? What's your analysis on this? How did they get to 19-3 in the past, month and a half or whatever it's been?
I mean, they unfortunately with the whole Chris Bosh situation when he obviously couldn't play for them anymore, Coach Spo had needed some time to figure things out. Obviously, some players got healthy. Dion Waiters started playing like I guess what people expected him to be, or some people, not all of us, some people expected him to play like. And I think you really have to give credit. I know I'm gonna sound like a Homer Filipino guy saying you gotta give credit to Coach Spo, but it's true. I really think that he's propelled himself into one of the elite coaches in the NBA, especially what he's done with so little. He takes a lot of heat because he started winning championships. Pun intended, exactly.
Yeah.
Because he started winning championships with the big three, but you can't. We never really saw how good a coach he was because of that. But now we're seeing it, and I think as much as I wouldn't put him in the same category as the likes of Pop and so on, but he's right there with the Brad Stevens.
Yeah.
With those type of coaches. So I think that a lot of it has to do with him.
I think that it's a change in the culture. I mean, if you remember the narrative that Miami had at the start, there was so much turmoil there. There was like Goran Dragic wanted to leave. Why does Hassan Whiteside making this much money? Nobody wants to come here. Spo was kind of on the fringe.
The big scandal. I mean, the big drama, of course, was Dwayne Wade.
Yeah, exactly.
Wade's not back. That's a big one.
And then Chris Bosh getting cut or whatever, the type of situation that's going on right there. I think they finally settled down. And that is what really happens. Mo, you know this. When a team finally settles down, gets in their groove, it comes out on the court. And that's what you're seeing right now.
We're seeing it with the Dallas Mavericks. Remember how awful they were. Remember, I mean, gosh, for the Heat to be the Eastern Conference crappy team at 11 and 31, you had the Dallas Mavericks in the same kind of situation in the West, and now they're also right there in the playoff hunt.
Which is crazy.
It's crazy, but I think, again, the Heat have quality players.
Oh, what?
Not enough. Yeah, the quality. Yeah, I mean, Goran is.
You have Goran, Whiteside,
average
Waiters.
Quality enough to be where they are right now, which is the 9th seed. I'm not saying they're going to wow people and win playoff series, but enough, kind of like how Dallas has just enough to make it to where they are right now. They're not going to threaten anybody in any kind of playoff series. But again, I think a lot of credit does, as you said, Gino, go to Eric Spoelstra. He's a fantastic coach. Yeah, elite almost level coach. And he's able to get the best out of these guys. Hassan Whiteside is a legit dominant setter in the NBA, right? I think Goran Dragic is a above average point guard. And then when you have a group of guys who are hungry and team players, and you have Waiters playing out of his mind, you're going to find yourself in a place like this. I don't think that they were going to be the best team in the NBA, second half of the season. That's kind of surprising. But I think they had enough, coached enough to get where they are right now.
And I think you said it with the word hunger. I mean, you look at this team, right? I mean, it's a bunch of players that people didn't want.
Yeah. You know what it reminds me of? You remember that old school Barako Bull team?
Oh.
Remember those guys that just like, man, we're on a team, or like Phoenix, like recently,
or the movie Major League, the Indians,
right? Like that guy, like the replacements with Keanu Reeves. These are the guys that got ditched to the side. I mean, Goran Dragic, nobody wanted to touch him. Whiteside was just in the D League. Dion Waiters was like, nobody wanted him either. These are just guys that, they were like, you know what? Screw the rest of the league. They don't want us to just try and do it. And I think Spoelstra was another person, and he's the best person at it because a lot of people were doubting him as well. And all of them had the same type of goal. We needed to prove that we're better than we are, and they're doing it right now.
But is it the right move? I mean, this team should have tanked a long time ago.
Here we go again with the tanking, Gino. Gino, not everybody should be tanking.
No. First of all, I'm just joking around, and I really hate that people tank nowadays. But I understand why they do it. But I really do think that it's it is right. I mean, if any player that makes the NBA is a quality player,
yeah.
And if you get enough guys who are hungry enough that know that they're valued, Goran Dragic, not that long ago when he was with the Suns, was considered a rising star in the NBA.
Yeah.
Hassan Whiteside last year made a case why he got such a huge contract in the offseason. Dion Waiters was always that guy that good enough to be part of a trade of big time players that he was always good enough that okay, let's get him because we know that he can play, but nobody's ever brought it out in him.
So
he's like Nick Young.
Yeah.
He can shoot you into games. He can shoot you out of games.
But Wayne Ellington is actually playing good basketball.
So the question is, do they make the 8th?
I think they do. There's enough momentum there.
Oh man, you know how much that's gonna
The
suck
Bulls
for
and
Dwayne Wade.
The Bulls or not necessarily the Bulls. I mean, the Pistons are right there too in the fringe. So one of those two teams are gonna fall, and I think the Heat are gonna squeeze in there.
Mo, do you think they're gonna make it?
I would love for it to be a nice matchup in the
let's instead of whether they're going to do it, why don't we do this? Let's think about our first dream, our dream first round matchups.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
Which teams do we want? Because there's a lot of great storylines here with the first round. I mean, I know as we get closer to the playoff season, even the second round is going to be really exciting, obviously, all the way to the finals. I think this is going to be a great year for playoff matchups. What is your dream first round matchup for both conferences? And let's start again with Cavaliers Heat as probably medyo yung pinaka-obvious, right?
Yeah,
if we're talking about the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. We're all rooting for the Heat to get in there at number 8 to go up against Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, I like that with the whole J.R. Smith and Dion Waiters like barking at each other, and then LeBron. But then also, I mean, you remember all that crap that Dwayne Wade and LeBron were talking about every single time that they played?
That would be fun too.
That would be fun too, seeing LeBron and D Wade go at it. I would not mind that. I would not mind that at all.
So pick one. What's your dream? Is it Cleveland versus Miami, or is it Cleveland versus the Bulls? I like Celtics Bulls in the first round. The Bulls can get to number 7 because you have two historic teams, and going. It's not my dream matchup, but I would rather see Cleveland take on the Heat in the first round, and then say the Bulls go up against the Celtics in the in their first round matchup.
And the Pistons out of the playoffs.
Yeah, Pistons out. Pistons are Pacers.
Yeah, me too. I agree. That's actually I completely 100% agree with you that one.
Yeah, you know what? I'll take that.
That would be fun. That would be. I mean, as fun as it would be to see LeBron and Wade go at it in the first round, I think it would be more fun to see LeBron going back to South Beach
and to see Jimmy Butler lose to the Celtics and be like, man, they should have traded me to you guys. That would have been fun.
All right, here's the big one. Let's go Warriors. All right? Okay. Let's say they lock down the number 1 spot. Is it the dream matchup Warriors Thunder to see the big storyline of Kevin and Westbrook meeting against each other? Because there are other variables or there are other combinations here. Now, again, I know that the Thunder will not finish 8th, so let's say maybe the Warriors finish 2nd and go up against OKC. Is that the dream matchup in the Western Conference?
No, I want to see the Golden State Denver. I like that. I think there's so much trash talking going there.
See, I want to see. I want to
sweep your ass. Come on, man, bring it. You're not playing.
You think that one comment that KD had with a fan makes all of a sudden that series so much more than a Westbrook Kevin Durant series?
Because I want to maybe see OKC move up 1 spot and see Houston and OKC. That's what I want to see.
Houston OKC strong.
Houston OKC
is fun. That is the story that I want to see.
But I think it's going to be interesting to see Golden State OKC without Durant.
No, that just takes all the air out of that balloon. Man.
But I mean, like,
I want Golden State at 2. I want them to play against OKC and then OKC and Houston, and then if whoever, whether it be Harden or Westbrook, get past the first round, they play Durant in the second round. That's how I wanted to play it out.
No, okay, but listen to the reason why I think this is actually going to be interesting. If KD has to sit out a few games in the first round with the injury, right? And OKC manages to steal maybe 1 game, maybe 2 games. How and KD comes back in enough time to save the Warriors from losing a first round series against his old team. The fact that
they're not going to be threatened even without KD. Do you think the Warriors would be on the brink of losing?
the Thunder have gotten better after the All-Star break with the acquisition.
Cantor won't be back by
they're
then,
3-4. I think they're 3-4 if I'm not mistaken. They've won 3.
Yes, but I mean, there's also a little bit of an adjustment period. So I mean, we haven't seen them at full strength yet.
Yep.
And I think the Thunder at full strength can can steal a few games with a KD-less Warriors. The Thunder at full strength.
Let me give you mine.
All right.
Okay, fine. I think the obvious is Warriors Thunder's first round. KD there. Now, if KD is not there, that changes who I want 1 and 8. I want the Warriors at number 1. I want the Dallas Mavericks at number 8. Without Kevin Durant, you'll have the Curry brothers showdown.
That's
and
fine.
And Seth has been playing better than Steph, I think, these past 3 weeks, right? So if you can get a Steph versus Seth, I'm no longer living in your shadow, Kuya, showdown, I think that'd be rather interesting. You get Harrison Barnes coming back after what has been a really good year for him, maybe taking it to whoever they're going to put in that small forward position. Let's see, even Kevin Durant is back, right? Harrison Barnes going, you know what? I'm gonna take you on. I don't know. It might not be my number one dream matchup. I think Warriors Thunder again still. If the Warriors fall to number 2, but if the Warriors hang and hold at number 1, I don't see any of the team there that excites me more than the Dallas Mavericks. Where you got Dirk back in the playoffs. You got the Curry showdown. You got mom and dad in the stands every single game. They don't know what the hell they're doing.
I
Love
that.
it.
I like that.
Harrison Barnes,
Yeah.
taking on his old team.
I mean, I think.
Yeah, you see
you
Dell
see-
look like Alvin Teng during
If
the
Bogut
USC
if
versus
Bogut
Steelers.
was still there, how good that would have been, man.
but-
I like Warriors Mavericks 1 and 8.
But just to see Dirk,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
battling,
Hell yeah.
in at the 8th spot, and hey, with some sort of semblance of hope, right? I mean, he just hit what 30,000 earlier today.
Yeah, by the way,
Yeah.
he hit 30,000. Congratulations, Dirk. Again, back to our last week's debate: best international
Yeah.
player of all
And-
time. Only the 6th player in the NBA to
But
do it.
was it? Like, did we talk about this before? That like how what a nice storyline it would be if, let's just say, the Mavs, after stinking for most of the season,
God, they were awful.
make a run, make the postseason as an 8th seed. Remember what happened before?
Yeah,
Remember
when Golden
Dallas,
State- when Golden
Dallas
State-
was number 1, Golden State was number 8,
And they beat them.
and they beat them.
Holy shit,
And remember,
that would be
if
great.
you flip that,
Oh, that'd be
and,
great.
And Dallas now is the 8th seed, Golden State number 1.
And then Seth becomes the new
Oh
Baron
my
Davis.
God.
Holy shit, that would be so cool.
Wow.
Yeah, that's mine. That's my matchup,
And
man.
Dirk having his one final moment in the postseason.
All right.
Wow.
Well, what about you guys? Let us know. Make sure you use the hashtag BallHogsPH. Let's move on to our final topic for today, and it is, of course, about your Gilas Pilipinas. And after the recently concluded Philippine Cup championship, the San Miguel Beermen won their 3rd straight Philippine Cup title, and 4 out of the last 7 championships have gone to the Beermen. Former San Miguel Beerman Don Ontiveros had a very interesting opinion. He said that since this team has won 3 in a row with an all-Filipino lineup, no imports, why not we send this team as Gilas Pilipinas?
Well,
This is where things get complicated, though. For a lot of people that saw that, they didn't know that there's a lot of nuances in the statement that Alex Cabagnot and Chris Ross are not allowed to suit up for Gilas Pilipinas because of passport restrictions. They did not get their passports before they turned 18 years old, and therefore they are Phil-Ams, but they are not recognized Filipino citizens, and they cannot represent the Philippines in international play. How would you guys like to talk about this? Do you want to do a hypothetical? Do you want to do a maybe replace the 2 other guys?
well, maybe
Hypothetical, of course, we would want them there.
all 4
Would we?
or 5 or 5. Well, I actually tweeted that out also during game Game 5?
Yeah.
And people, like, I got countless replies saying, "You idiot, Cabagnot and Ross can't play." I'm like, yo, I'm just saying that it would be nice to see them there, right? But I think we've seen this before, right? We've seen San Miguel win the All-Filipino crown, and they were sent to the Hiroshima Asian Games with Dong Polistico as a center on their team, reinforced with Johnny Barrientos, with Jericho Diniera, with, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Alvin, but basically they were reinforced with some other stars.
Yes.
And the San Miguel team was taken out of the PBA, sent to the Asian Games. Some of their players were taken out of the roster, replaced by some other stars in the PBA. I have no idea if that's even possible in today's game. Probably not.
Probably not.
Especially because how dominant San Miguel has been recently. But hypothetically speaking,
Would you?
They would have I think they would have a decent chance because, I mean, the biggest complaint about every single national coach that we've had is that there's not enough preparation time.
Yeah.
And the way San Miguel has played in the past couple of seasons, a lot of it has to do with the rise of June Mar Fajardo. I mean, remember the Petron novella?
Yeah.
Right? When they were called
Oh,
Petron.
God, that was so
and they
bad.
had so much talent on that team, and they just couldn't figure it out.
They had more talent then than they do now.
Yes, they had more talent back then than they do now, except for June Mar.
Yeah.
But if you include, if you think about how well this team, I guess, plays like a team right now, and what Chris Ross said in his MVP speech for the series was that a lot of them have made sacrifices because a lot of them could be starters in different teams. A lot of them, Arwind was an MVP before June Mar arrived.
Alex moved out of the starting point guard position to move to the
so a lot of them have sacrificed, and the fact that I think that, I mean, if hypothetically speaking, could they make a strong case and help out with that unit, that starting five, with Arwind, Chris Ross, Cabagnot, Lassiter, and June Mar. Of course they can Of course they can compete with some of the best out there because the fact that they
But
can
is it
play
the
like a
right
team.
decision though to make? Alex is 34 years old. Arwin's 35 years old. Is that the right choice to make when you can put in a young guy like a Bello?
But Mo,
or,
Mo, you've been the guy that always said that. You send the best.
Are they the best?
They're the best team. Yes,
they're the best team, but are they the best players for the national team?
If you send the collection of all five, so Coach Chot can insert that five on the court.
Yeah.
And watch them.
Even if it was just that five.
Just that five. I think you can have.
You guys are well more versed in this than I am. I'm just looking at, say, the ages on these guys. A 35-year-old Arwind, a 34-year-old Alex. Can they truly be the best collection of players? They might be the best team against other PBA teams, but when you put them in the international arena, can Arwind's game translate into the international arena? Will their age kind of catch up to them against a maybe younger, quicker competition out there with other countries? I don't know, man. I don't know if it's the right decision. Again, you guys would know more than me on this one.
No, because
old.
For me, I would send as much of that five as possible. I would not probably send all of them. Thank God. I mean,
you're
But
talking
do you like
hypothetical.
Arwind's game? Do you like Arwind's game
I don't like-
against the international?
Yeah, no, I love Arwind, but
Arwind
he's not an international type of player.
No.
So it's not a good. It's not a
But-
good decision with him.
But the reason why I'm saying it's not a bad idea because you're sending the collection, right? The five that you would throw in there, and then
like if things start to go awry, you could just put the five in.
I've seen Gilas, that dribble drive of theirs when it's not working and they have to go 1-on-1. And it looks like they're a little bit broken.
Yeah.
Especially when Jimmy was gone already and nobody could bring them together. And with all respect to Coach Tab, I just don't think Coach Tab was able to get them to work as well as Coach Shot was able to. Part of that maybe was, I guess it's just different. Coach Shot's one of the better, I guess, motivators that we have in the Philippines. I think that and without Jimmy there, that really compounded things it was a kind of an unfair situation for Coach Tab. But I think that if just with this five, I mean, how they run things, whether it's through the three-headed guards that they have that can shoot from the outside, even Chris Ross can shoot from the outside now, or work from the post with June Mar. Even the high post with June Mar. I mean, I could see it kind of working, but I mean, obviously we're talking hypothetical here because it can't happen. Anyway.
Definitely. Well, I mean,
Sure.
The one thing is for sure that we learned from that series is that Chris Ross is probably the one player in the Philippines that we all wish could play for Gilas Pilipinas.
Oh,
my God, we need that guy on that team.
And when he developed that outside shot,
I'm telling you, he's gonna be. He reminds me of a young Jason Castro. When Jason could not make a 3-point shot, that was exactly how Chris Ross is right now.
and
if not even better.
it would be a perfect. I think the trainer of Chris Ross, Diego Lozano, actually said it on Twitter during that game. Like if Chris Ross was able to to play for the national team, it is a perfect transition from Castro. I mean, handing the baton
definitely
to Chris Ross. I mean, and it's how this guy, how Chris has propelled himself into one of the elite players in the PBA after being a journeyman with Meralco.
There was 3 days that he didn't have a team. He got traded to 4 teams in 3 days.
And he did it so quick.
Yeah. So good.
So imagine how much better he could be. I don't think we've seen the best of Chris. I think he's still getting better.
We're gonna see even more, and hopefully, by the grace of God, we can see him in a Gilas Pilipinas jersey. All right, we're gonna cut to a break here on Ball Hogs PH. When we return, it's time for one-on-one. Time for you guys to debate either one of us. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody, to Ball Hogs PH. Eric Atayde, Jinno Rufino, Mo Twister, and it's now time for your one-on-one, where you guys get to call us up and debate either one of the 3 of us here on the show. And right now, we welcome on as our celebrity guest for today, Ginebra legend himself. The one and only Coach Jayvee Gayoso joining us. Hello, Coach!
Yeah. Coach.
Hello.
Thanks for being here, Coach.
Coach, just so you know, last week we had one of the best, if not the best, debaters in Ball Hogs PH, and he was the biggest Jayvee Gayoso and Ginebra fan of all time.
Then that makes sense why he's a good debater.
Yeah,
Wow.
he loved. He tore me to shreds. So, Coach, welcome to the show. What is your debate topic for today?
Well, simple. First, hi to you guys. Thank you for having me. I would like to ask, okay, should the PBA officials call the games equally or the same as the NBA officials do, wherein they use a highly advanced basketball-related skill that they should have so that we maintain the kind of physical play that is required to perform for international play. I'm only mentioning this because I noticed that NBA players dominate FIBA-regulated tournaments, and we should actually play that way even in our tournaments here. And if we get used to playing that way, we'll have a better chance of winning in our international competitions as well.
Okay, so the
that's a big
topic,
statement.
the topic is: should the PBA officials follow the NBA style officiating so it will benefit
allows a more
us?
physical game.
Yes, which
Right?
is a more
That's what
physical
he's saying,
game, which will benefit us in FIBA experiences.
Yeah.
Good question.
Okay.
Mo?
And your stand is, Coach, is that you are for a more physical game, right?
I'm called, yes, a more physical game, but not to the point that second motion will be permitted. Because
Okay.
if you have basketball...
Okay,
Hold on,
wait,
hold on,
Coach,
hold on,
wait,
hold on,
wait,
hold on,
wait,
Coach, hold on,
wait,
hold on,
we'll cut
Coach.
you off only because
Yeah.
we'll find out who wants to go against you here.
Yeah.
In fact, let me just start it off. I'm with you. I'm not necessarily for a more physical game, but I'm more towards curtailing the league to whatever the NBA standards are because I'm a big NBA fan. So I'm with Coach on this one.
I
there we go.
will agree with Coach, not in terms of the physical play, but I will agree with him on the not so much reviews in a game.
Huh?
You know, there's
What are
so
you talking
many freaking reviews in the PBA game right now.
Well, there's so many reviews.
Are there
in
more
in
than the NBA
game.
game?
Oh, you have no idea. So I kind of
Really?
agree. I'll explain it later on. But right now, Gino, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I think that's. I mean, I think the PBA. I mean, they're very physical. I have friends in the PBA who complain about how physical the league is, and I don't think it's really like officiating very similar to the way the NBA officiates, because I think if we want to help the players and the national team, I think that's the goal here, to help the national team perform better in international
Okay,
competition.
so before you give out
you
your
need to-
your bullets, yes or no? Do you agree or disagree with Coach?
I mean, there's a degree that I agree, but majority I would have to say no.
Okay, so with that being
All
said,
right, we have a
we
fight.
got Jinno Rufino,
Fight.
who just said his idol is Coach Jayvee Gayoso, taking on Coach Jayvee Gayoso. Coach, the floor is yours. You have all the time in the world to send out your debate topics.
Okay.
All of your
Make your
points.
case. Yeah.
Make your case.
Basically, you want me to say now why I'm making that claim
Yes.
that they should.
Yes.
Yeah, why are you so passionate about this?
And I
Well,
can sense the
reason
passion in your
why
voice.
I'm sorry. The reason why I'm pushing for this is because I see that the NBA teams, the U.S. team composed of NBA players, dominate all FIBA-regulated tournaments. And they've been dominating because their officials are allowing them to play the NBA way. They're focused on playing all-out type of basketball. That's the NBA way. Before, in my time, we only played the PBA way. We did not even think about the FIBA rule way. Now, after talking to some people behind the scenes who are closely connected to the national team, after discussing things with them, they were mentioning that it hampers the players. It limits their movements. They're now restricted. Now, I understand it is physical, but the consistency of calls isn't fair to one team. Sometimes one team is permitted to be physical, the other one retaliates, and they get a worse call rather than just keeping it fair. Now, when it comes to the dirty play, that's what I'm totally against. And if our officials are, quote-unquote, gifted enough with basketball common sense of the playing, not just the calling, because they're great at the calling, they know the rules and all that. But it's the playing. Like when a player is up in the air and he gets pushed, his arm will fly to try to grasp onto someone. They consider that second motion. I want to tell the refs, I'll throw you up and push you. Let's see if you can have just a balance. These are the things that is basketball common sense, which a lot do not understand. Especially if you're going 110%, going to the basket and you get pushed, there's no way for you to control yourself. And you will land on anybody and everything that's on your path. These are the things that I want to remove because sayang, the momentum of the game dies.
All right.
There you go.
Jinno.
Oh boy.
Boy, that's a lot of info you can process.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to process this, but I mean,
It's interesting.
yeah,
It's interesting.
it is. I mean, Coach, you're one of my idols. Even though when I sat next to you in Game 6 of the finals last year, of the third conference, it was the Ginebra Miracle Finals, and then he called me Boom Gonzalez. So
Awesome.
I told them I said, oh my God, I made a mistake because I was so yes. I'm glad you brought it up. But I need to mention one thing. One, I'll apologize first. Yes, I did I called you Boom, and I did make a mistake. Second, did you notice, I don't know if you watched the fifth game of this last one, the balloons were already up.
yes, we pointed that out. You pointed it out to me, and I'm like, oh nga no.
Pero nandun na, nakataas na.
Yeah. So
Anyway,
Coach
I'm sorry
Jayvee.
for calling you
It's
Boom.
okay. It's okay. I'm just messing around. But I mean, it's an honor to be mistaken for Boom
Because of the
Gonzalez.
alcohol and drugs I took the night before.
Coach Jayvee wins. I don't even have to give my. He wins already.
I look at Mo in shock. I was like, I didn't know we were on good times.
Okay. Hold on.
Okay.
Let me compose myself here first.
Let's go.
There you go.
Okay, no. Okay, Coach, you mentioned that you want the officiating, or you think that the officiating in the PBA would benefit the national team if they call the games closer to the NBA standards, because the NBA or Team USA, who is usually composed of NBA players, usually wins FIBA competitions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just want to, because I try to analyze how come we can't win even in our local thing. If we're I was watching a Chinese league, and then I saw them land right in front, like the defenders land, or the shooters land in front of the defenders. They don't even call it. Here, oh my God, it's a mortal sin to land in front of somebody else's foot.
landing
You
spot.
try jumping,
Landing spot.
making a jump shot that goes forward and miss the defenders. Anyway, continue. I'm sorry.
I know it's okay. I think, Coach, it's
Go ahead, Boom.
it is an honor to be mistaken for Boom and look a lot younger than my
Sorry,
age.
I'm sorry.
Oh, let's. No, but Coach, I just think that that USA usually wins because they're just superior basketball players. I mean,
I understand.
when you have Anthony Davis, DeMarcus Cousins, Kenneth Faried, Kyrie Irving, Stephen Curry, James Harden.
LeBron James.
But this is the team that I'm mentioning is just the World Cup team.
Yeah.
It's not
They're
even
the
the
best
Olympic
ever.
team. So
They're the best ever.
the fact that you have the superior players going up against an aging Argentina, an aging Spain, and that's the reason why they win, in my opinion. And the reason why these other teams are able to sort of compete is because they play in a system and they play basketball that is conducive to their system with the FIBA rules. So
I understand.
that's why Spain, Argentina, Greece, Serbia, some of these other teams out there are sort of able to stick close to USA because they're used to playing in those FIBA rules. And that again, that's just my opinion, Coach. It's not something that I guess there's something that you did say a while ago though that I think is what it really is. I think the consistency of calls that you mentioned is the problem in the PBA's officiating. Not necessarily should they call it like NBA games, but they're just not consistent when they call it.
Yeah.
I think the fact that you mentioned the second
I think you
motion.
and I want to say something, but we can't really say what we really want to say.
I'm just sitting here. I can't really say much.
And we understand why Aaron can't say much.
I'm just like,
Why don't
Come
you
on,
Why don't
Aaron,
you
say
text us
something.
what you want us to say? Para we can go ahead.
I'll just
and,
put it in the
on
group
a
right
Viber.
now.
No, but
Can I squeeze in one little bit?
go ahead.
Okay, now here's the thing. When I was coaching, my players were not basketball players. I had a system which I wanted my players to run. So what I did was I recruited in the oval. When I saw my players wearing high cuts sa oval, mga track and field players, those are the ones I recruited for my basketball team. Having said that, I understand that the NBA nucleus is the best ever of all time when it comes to tournament participation. They have the best players. And that's the reason why I'm not looking at our players. I'm looking for other factors in the game that could probably help us. Because when it comes to man for man, oh my God, we're probably, 100th place or, I don't know, 60, 70, 70th place when it comes to man for man. Huh? So I have to look for, as a coach, other ways that are not person related, but things that will help my players perform better in that kind of a stage. And that's the only reason why I pointed out officiating. But I do understand and accept 100% what you said, boom.
Coach Jayvee for the win for like the remainder of the year.
Nah, I love you, Gino. I'm really sorry for that.
But I'm a big fan. I love you. And then when I sat next to you again during Game 6, I was like, oh my God, I'm watching a Ginebra game, sitting right next to Coach Jayvee. This is so cool. And then he called me boom.
Yeah, and then everything went downhill.
No, but I think you bring up some great points.
Yeah.
You definitely bring up some great points. I just think that it's not necessarily calling it like NBA games. It's more the consistency of the calls. And I allow me to vote for you in this debate because I like the fact that you brought this up. And I think it's an important conversation that we have, and I hope the listeners out there, listen to it and take it with that it's our opinion, and if they notice something,
Mo, your thoughts?
Yeah, I was actually when I first heard the question, I just thought, man, Coach, I just don't see how you're going to win this one because the statement of the NBA players, the American team specifically. They flourish in these Olympic competitions and all of that stuff because with the aid of officiating, when I think Gino's point is so clear that no, it's because they're the greatest basketball players in the world. They could play 4-on-5 and still beat some of these teams out there, right? Because they're just so talented. But when I heard you explain that just now, that you understand that it's not just the players, but you're looking as a coach for other ways to, get a competitive edge against maybe some of the other teams, and that's by the culture of the officiating. I agree with you there.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to go with Coach on this one because your points are strong, and who doesn't want a game that's more curtailed to the NBA style, which will also eventually help the team whether it win one extra game in a tournament.
Yeah.
Again, a change in officiating style is not going to win us the gold medal in the Olympics, but at the same time, it might just prep us better for all of the competitions and one day you never know, we might find ourselves in the Olympics because we're used to a certain style of officiating that I think the PBA needs to make a change there.
Yeah.
And then again, if you take a poll, and this is an opinion, but I'm assuming if you take a poll, the overwhelming pollers or surveyed people are going to agree with what Coach is saying right now.
Yeah, I completely agree with all the positive points about the PBA. And I'll just leave it at that because I love my job. Yay. Thank you, Coach Jayvee Gayoso.
The point really is
a draw.
No, Coach. Coach, you win. You win this. You win this.
Even I would vote for him. But I mean, the point really is more the consistency of the calls. I think. More than anything.
And to go back to what I was trying to say a while ago that I couldn't say is that I agree that there should be more. They should allow more physicality. It's just the reviews. If you guys watch the PBA nowadays, they review anything and everything as long as a player is on the ground. And if you do that, it slows and stops the momentum of the game. That's the one thing that I always, and I've said this even on the telecast of the games, players, especially in the PBA, love momentum because of the fact that players like Terrence Romeo and even Chris Ross, they run on momentum. And every time that there's a stoppage of play for review, that stops momentum. That's the only thing that is still baffles me.
It also makes it, as a fan, less watchable of a product. Yeah. So, again, it's lose-lose when you have all of those stoppages and reviews, if that's your gripe, Aaron, with how the officiating is going. But, again, I think going back to what Coach said is like, whether the international competition, whether the national team will benefit or not, okay, fine. We could talk with Coach a little longer about that on maybe sitting down with a group of us. But no one will disagree. It just makes for a better game.
Yes,
it makes for a better local product.
Yeah,
and the PBA will become a better league to follow. Whether we are able to harness, the international style and perform better there. We don't know, but at least locally, it's just a better game.
There you go.
But what would be great? If we listen to the stories of what happened to Coach Jayvee before game number 6 of the third conference.
You?
Yeah, what was going on? Where were you, and why didn't you invite me?
Coach Jayvee,
celebration for the game.
Coach Jayvee, thank you for joining us on the show. It was fun talking to you, buddy.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
You have a great
Thanks,
one.
Coach. You're the best. Appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
That was fun.
Right,
That was really fun.
That was fun. And
That was a long one. I don't think we have time for another call.
No, we don't.
Went a little long.
I didn't mind losing that one at all.
Yeah, man, losing to a Ginebra legend, why not, man? That'll wrap up the show here.
You know what bothers me, though, real quick, before you wrap it up?
Go ahead.
I wonder why you guys are so scared of saying things about the PBA. Man.
Hey, man, I don't want to go to the commissioner's office and have to pay a freaking fine.
When I was doing courtside in the PBA, Coach,
you guys are getting used to dictatorship on that country, man.
Oh, shit.
What show are we doing right now? But Commissioner Bernardino always would tell us that if you guys see something about officiating or anything in the PBA, you say it. You have to mention it. You let it out there, and don't be afraid. So I was just wondering if it's still the same.
With that being said,
what's so scared about opinions? It's just opinions.
I know.
It's commentary. Yeah. It's what do you? Come on. It's the freaking PBA. There's a reason you guys are struggling with attendance.
On that note, we move on to close the show. My name is Aaron Atayde, formerly a commentator for the PBA. You have Motoster in Las Vegas and Jinno Rufino. We'll see you guys again next week. You have a great one. Happy birthday to me. This is a great birthday party. I lose my job.
Your birthday's 2 days from now.
My birthday is 2 days from now.
Yeah, happy birthday.
I feel bad for you guys.
Josh Strike.
Bye, guys.
Thanks.